Alright, so I got a bunch of questions here. This will be Q&A video number 8. Now the first series of questions comes from Estevez. He asked these in response to a video I did in which it was called How to Maximize the Anabolic Response and How to Minimize the Catabolic Response. And the major point I wanted to get across was that there's an inverse relationship between stored glycogen and what is called AMPK. So if you want to watch that video, it's 2 videos before this one. You just go onto my channel, 2 videos before this one. Now, the first question was, is this an all or nothing response? And it's not an all or nothing response. The more you deplete glycogen, the more you amplify the AMPK response. So it's not like a light switch where you flick the switch and the lights are either on or off. It's more like those ones that have a dimmer setting, and that the more you deplete, the more you amplify. The next question was, how do you know when your body's relying on stored fuel as opposed to fuel that's readily available so you can avoid amplifying the AMPK response? Now, I wish I had a good answer for you, but I don't. I have no fucking clue what it feels like in terms of the difference between when your body's relying on stored fuel versus fuel that's readily available. The third question was, based on this, wouldn't high intensity training be better than high volume? Well, volume contributes more than anything else to depleting glycogen, so depending on why you're doing what you do, high intensity might be preferred. The fourth question was, for someone who's fat adapted, meaning that their body's primarily relying on fat as its source of energy, wouldn't protein and carbs before the workout negatively affect that? The answer is yes. You're going to burn less fat during the workout. However, lower cortisol response, lower AMPK response, greater mTOR activation, greater insulin sensitivity, meaning more of what you eat after the workout will go to the muscles and less will be stored as fat. So you got to determine, do you want to burn a couple more grams of fat and sacrifice all those other benefits I just talked about? Or would you rather provide your body with what is necessary to train your hardest and recover from the work that you're doing, build more muscle, and likely burn more fat in the long run? So you make the best decision for yourself. Now, Hesham had a series of questions. The first one was, are dips safe? So my question in response to that is, are guns safe? Here's the thing, Hesham. Exercises are not safe or unsafe. It's the person who's doing them and the way they're being done. So dips can be safe. Dips can also be unsafe. Is there a greater risk with dips than like press downs or kickbacks? Yes, the risk is probably higher. However, it could also be argued that the reward would be higher. So you got to make the best decision for yourself, but nothing is inherently unsafe. It's the person who's doing it and the way it's being done. The second question is, what were some books that you can recommend? So the first one, Strength and Conditioning. The second one, Science and Practice of Strength Training. I'll put a link in the description below. You can go to Amazon and buy them if you want to. The third one was a little bit of a ramble. You're basically saying, when I see someone who's jacked, I think to myself, how did they get there? Now, I can't explain how everybody gets there, but the formula is this: impose a demand, recover from the demand, repeat. Recruit and fatigue as many muscle fibers as possible throughout a muscle's entirety, and don't overwork your capacity to recover. There's no magical exercises. The ones you want to pick should be based on your capacity to recruit the muscles. So someone might build a big chest by doing flies, whereas someone else who has a big chest as well may have never done a fly in their life. Someone might be able to use a barbell bench press. Someone else might not get any results by using that. So you got to pick the right tools for the job based on what you want to accomplish. Now, one of the things you said that I'll say never happens is, did he add 5 pounds to the bar each week? Progression is not that linear. If it was, by this time next year, if you were able to do this, or anybody was able to do this, they'd be lifting 260 more pounds. So in 2 years, that's 520, and in 4 years, that's 1,040. Progression is not that linear. It doesn't work like that. I can guarantee you, nobody ever did that. So when you see these jacked motherfuckers, this is what they did. Imposed the demand, recovered from the demand, repeated. Recruited and fatigued as many muscle fibers as possible throughout their muscles' entirety, and they didn't overwork their capacity to recover. The last question comes from taylortiessen. He said, can you do a biomechanical analysis of the front squat and the back squat? So the major difference between the two is obviously bar placement. So what effect does this have on the exercise? When the bar is on your back, it facilitates greater depth to be achieved because you can keep the center of mass above the base of support easier. So what effect will this have on the biomechanics of the exercise? Basically, the biggest difference is the contribution from the lower back. So it's the same muscles acting on the same levers, but the lower back can do more work with the bar on the back because the lever becomes more perpendicular to the direction of resistance, so those muscles have to do more work. Since they're bigger and stronger, or at least then when they're not working, you can use more weight. So the difference between the two, front squat, you have to stay more upright. That lever is more parallel to the direction of resistance, therefore the muscles acting on it don't have to do as much work. Over here, they have to do more work because they're big, strong muscles. You can lift more weight. So it's not that one is more for the quads or one is more for the back or anything like that. It's the same muscles acting on the same levers. In fact, if you look at the levers, because you can achieve greater depth with the back squat, the shin is more perpendicular to the direction of resistance than with the front squat. Therefore, the quads are doing more work. The thigh lever goes through a greater range of motion, and so does the torso lever. So it still works the same muscles. The difference, though, is in the contribution of the lower back. That's why you can lift more weight with the back squat, and it's not that one is more for the legs and one is for something else. The only difference is with the front squat, you take out the lower back to some degree, so the muscles acting on these levers, percentage-wise, have to do more work, even though you're lifting less weight. If you like the information, share it, click the fucking button at the bottom, subscribe to the channel. I'll keep bringing you the best information you're going to find as it relates to training to build muscle, get stronger, lose fat, look better, perform better, all that fucking shit.